Good
Sit.
boy. Good girl.
All right. You guys want to go? Should I say the word? You guys want to go for a walk? Hey, you gotta sit. Sit. You gotta sit. Good boy. Good boys get to go for a walk.
Yeah, he's a good boy.
Tundra, come here. Is your name Tundra? Oh.
Tree, do you want to go for a walk? Yeah?
You want to go for a walk?
Oh, puppies everywhere. No! Hey guys, we are back in the dining room today for this video. So the light is giving me Uber bags again. So I guess I'm just doing my read-alongs as a raccoon. One thing, two things? Maybe two things, but definitely one thing before we continue on to chapter 2 is I just got the next book in the Twisted Tales series. So I pre-ordered it and it released today, I believe, or maybe the 5th. Regardless, and it's thicker. I ordered What Once Was Mine. It's the Tangled Twisted Tale. That's what I meant to say. It's the Tangled Twisted Tale. And I'm really excited. It's also a bit thicker by a good margin than Go the Distance. And it's by Liz Braswell. And she's my favorite of the 3 so far who've been writing the Twisted Tales. So I'm excited to get to this. I really wish Amazon would put like some bubbles or like just paper in their box. Like my cover and everything is still in good condition, but there is one, like if I'm gonna be picky, like there's that bend in it, but I'm probably gonna do worse to it. But anywho, so this is gonna be coming up. I might, depending how this read along goes, if you guys want me to do a read along of What Once Was Mine, then maybe I will. And if I even want to do a read along after this, I'm enjoying it. If you guys watched the first video, I wondered if I was like too critical and just too nitpicky because I haven't done a read along before. When my husband and I were on our walk, I was like, let me just run some of these things by you to see if I'm crazy and overthinking or if it's something to point out. And of course he's playing devil's advocate and he's like, well, if you do it this way, it makes sense, or if you da-da-da. So I'm like, okay, well, because it is my opinion, taking it with a grain of salt, like you guys might enjoy it more. If it sticks out to me in my initial reading, I'm going to mention it just because it's a first impression thing. I did put some comments in the video. Maybe I was wrong or something because I had that hindsight. I'm not intentionally trying to be overly critical. I'm just pointing out things that initially stick out to me. Granted, if I was listening to this as an audiobook, I wouldn't notice it as much. With the purpose of this being a read along to like critically examine the book, I'm just gonna point stuff out. So I hope you guys enjoyed the first part so far. We're gonna read for about a half hour today, just so I can try to go and get some stuff done. I need to get more writing done. So yeah, we're gonna read for a half hour. So this video shouldn't be too long. I'm trying to keep each of these videos just under or around 30 minutes, so it's not cumbersome to watch all of them and everything. Oh, the second thing. I knew there was 2. The second thing is, I feel like I forgot this in my ranking video, but I was gonna, and that's because it was like 2 hours long after edits. My guesses, my theories on what the next Twisted Tales are gonna be. So after What Once Was Mine, because this is number 12, and I think it's been confirmed that 13 and 14 are coming out based on their trend of female lead human, kind of sort of mostly a princess, but like Meg's not a princess, but she kind of is a female lead, I guess, in the Hercules story. So I think the top 2 contenders is gonna be Princess and the Frog and Brave. Those would be my top 2 just based on what movies they haven't covered yet. And they have all of their like animal-based stories, but I don't think they're gonna go there. If they do, then Lion King, please. So let's get to reading. So we're on the start of chapter 2, A Change of Heart. And this is not a critical like, oh, she shouldn't have wrote it this way or nothing, but when you're writing in someone's POV, if they notice something, like if they notice somebody doing something, or if they see somebody doing something, you don't have to say they saw the man pull a rabbit out of the hat if they're like watching them, right? So you would just say the man pulled the rabbit out of the hat, and we know that we're in Meg's POV, so she saw that happen. We would more or less assume that. This is not an issue. She put Meg noticed some of the other gods sense the friction in the air and start to move away. I think her attention is kind of on Zeus and Hercules, but she's also aware of what's going on around her. So you could have simply just put some of the other gods sense the friction in the air and started to move away. Either way works. If you're cutting down words, you don't have to put Meg noticed. You don't have to have that action necessarily, I think. Now Zeus is just being rude. He's like, we waited a lifetime to get you back and have you sit beside your mother and me, and now that you're here, you want to give that up and remain human? Okay, well, if you knew he was human, why didn't you just bring him back then? Rude. He's basically like, Mount Olympus is no place for mortals. He said the word mortals as if they were the scum of the earth. I don't think I ever got that impression from the Disney Zeus. Also, Zeus be getting all up in mortal business, okay? So, this Zeus is a jerk. Now we're getting the Meg that I wanted, the sparky stand up and speak her mind, because when she had overheard Demeter's comment, she knew, or she assumed, that Zeus was lying about all this, so she finally speaks up, right up to Zeus, and is like, he left you until you were here to fight the Titans for him. So, go Meg. This is who I wanted in chapter 1, or at least, like I said, I wish she didn't get so down on herself before anything happened. But yeah, now she's coming back. Pointing out a small echo that could have easily been edited out. Behind him, the sky darkened like an approaching thunderstorm, and lightning bolts crisscrossed the sky. You literally have the sky twice in the sentence, slightly rewording it so you don't have the sky repeated. So just an echo. Just an echo. Apparently, the only logical answer to keep them together is for Meg to be a god, which is the twist in the story. So, okay, I knew that was coming. But it's like, so... gods don't have to live on Mount Olympus, do they? They can't just go back and forth. Like, okay. Well, if any of you guys fall in love with the god, the only logical way that you can keep that relationship going is if you become a god. We finally got to Hera more or less introducing the basis of the quest for Meg. He wants Meg to understand that love is a strength and not a weakness. Putting your trust in someone you love doesn't mean you can't stand on your own 2 feet. It'll be interesting to see how this turns out, because obviously when you hear of a quest, it's kind of sounds like more of the journey or an adventure somewhere to accomplish something, not so much an internal development. I mean, granted, internal changes often happen on quests. And we are now in chapter 3, which is going back to when Meg is 13 now. So in the time from Meg's father leaving and she and her mother escaping, they, struggled to find a place to stay since their mom always had to provide work somehow to keep them afloat. And Meg assumed the parent role of cooking, cleaning their living space, and managing the money. I guess at one point, some of the money that they were going to use for breakfast goes missing, and the mother had just spent it on a flute because she never got to learn, so she wants Meg to learn it, which, okay. It's interesting, if not a little curious, that suddenly the mother is the one who has to do the work, who's earning the money, and who is so kind of pointed about needing money for food and everything, to slip from that role, when obviously it's not like they're in a better position and she's the one working, not Meg. So it feels a little off to me, but it is what it is. Nothing, I'm sure it can happen. She just got tired or whatever. So we'll see if anything specific comes up. It's interesting to see that that's how that change occurred for the mother and Meg's relationship. All right, so I guess this is kind of building on the impulsivity of the mother's character, which if you think back to that first chapter, them suddenly leaving, which obviously you had the landlord coming to collect the rent, so it was like, yeah, let's get out of Dodge. And then buying this flute, and she's bought a few other things like, oh, we'll buy this and we'll sell it. So, or buying fresh flowers, that'd be weird. Fresh flowers for that vase and spending that hard-earned money and irritating Meg. So it gets to the point where Meg actually does learn how to play the flute and play it well, kind of earn that impulsive buy. So I think that was a pretty nice little development there. And now, of course, the second that her mom's like, oh, we should stay here forever and you can play, and also they get coins tossed to them when she plays, which I'm you know, me not being trustworthy of that is like, oh, did you just want her to play it so you can get extra money? Is this going to end up being your income now? We'll see. So now they're going to be leaving, and there's only a few more pages in the chapter, so wonder what happened this time. I hope in the audiobook Meg's voice is read with that same accent she has in the Hercules movies, because I keep forgetting, which is probably another reason why a lot of it doesn't sound like Meg. But even when I try to like read it in my head with her voice, it doesn't have quite the same attitude. Regardless, the reason why we had to pause here, they leave the town because her mother is escaping a marriage proposal, essentially, and you're like, we don't need men complicating things, yada yada. And so when in the new town, Meg buys some day-old bread in the marketplace and she thanks him, she's like, it's been a real slice. That one. That from the movie. I'm just like, I just don't know. It doesn't sit right with me. I'm trying to recall if all of the authors have done this, but since all of Jen's Go the Distance, Mirror in the Mirror, and Conceal Don't Feel I've read as physical copies, I've paid more attention to the actual words being used, and I know for certain, especially in Conceal Don't Feel, she liked to use the song lyrics in some of the dialogue or thoughts, like verbatim. And so obviously this is kind of what's happening here. She's throwing in that quote from the movie, and based on what the young Meg character that we've established is, that phrasing doesn't seem appropriate for the time, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I don't. It's off-putting, I guess, because I'm picturing the scene from the movie, and that Meg versus this Meg, who is kind of who, you know, she's starting to grow into it, but it's not quite there yet. So it's a bit cringy and just like, no. More conflicting feelings about. And I would have to rewatch the movie to see if this is actually a line. It sounds familiar enough that I think it's either a line or it's just because it is a spin on the phrase. So basically, after buying bread, Meg heads home, and there's a crowd gathered because her mother was run over by a cart and she's dying. Which, honestly, my first impression with that is like, okay, so we just killed off the mother without any, you know, to say it's without any purpose. Like, I expected building up some more back and forth between Meg and her mother, maybe, and Meg's mother eventually making a choice of a man over her and kind of hurting her feelings more that way, not just dying by getting run over by a cart, which is suspicious. But anyway, the last thing she says to Meg as she's dying is, "You're a big tough girl. You tie your own sandals and everything." So that's where I was like, was that from the movie? You tie your own sandals and everything? My impression and my emotional state reading this, I don't feel bad for Meg or sad for the mother dying. I'm just like, why is she dying? Okay, so then it jumps back to present day Meg on Mount Olympus. So we're gonna have to wait a little bit to figure out what happens to Meg afterward. I'm guessing she, has to fend for herself and things happen, I guess. But I'm a little taken aback that the mother has died already. Yeah. Okay. Mother's dead. That was chapter 2 and chapter 3. It's very slow going because I think probably doing 2 chapters at a time is going to be the average for these read-alongs. I might push it to 3 or 4 later if you guys want me to go longer. But like I said, I want to try to keep it under 30 minutes just so it's, it's not a daunting video. I'm still scarred from that 2-hour ranking. So I've been trying to keep everything much shorter. And I think it's easier to watch when, oh, it's only 15 minutes. Oh, it's only 20 minutes. Where it's like, oh, it's 2 hours. So let me know. What is this? What is this? My hair was sticking out all weird and I thought it was gray hair. Well, yeah, let me know what you guys think. If you like the shorter lengths, we're only doing a couple chapters at a time, or if you want me to add a few more chapters in or just add some more time in. I don't know how educational that this current episode was, but we're getting through the story. And I don't know if I really said this at the beginning of the video, but like, as critical as I'm being, it doesn't mean I don't like the story and I'm not enjoying reading it. I definitely am enjoying reading it no matter what. I'm giving myself the opportunity to look deeper into it and almost look at it as if this was my manuscript, what questions am I going to bring up that I think I should address, or at least be prepared to address if someone asks me about it. So that's kind of the eye that I'm looking at it with right now. That's going to be all for today's video. This yellow-ish walls are giving me like weird skin color, or maybe that is my natural color. I don't know. It just feels very yellow in this room, so I'm not a fan of it. But since I had the other book come in the box, I kind of needed some like table space. So I'm rambling. Sorry. This is the end of the part 2 Go the Distance read along, and the next one, part 3, will be coming soon.